introduction to the icy enigma. At the very edge of our world, where the maps fade into white and the compass needles falter, lies a place unlike any other. A continent of silence, a continent of shadows, a continent of secrets. Antarctica. For most of us, it is only a word, a picture in a textbook, a distant land we will never see. To imagine Antarctica is to imagine endless snow, vast glaciers, and icy winds that cut through the bones. It is a place hostile to life, a desert of cold that resists human presence. But what if this is only the surface? What if Antarctica is not simply a wasteland of ice, but a veil hiding something far greater? For centuries, explorers, scientists, and dreamers have whispered the same question. What lies beneath? What truths might be entombed in that frozen abyss? And why, above all, has this continent been kept so far beyond our reach? Tonight we begin a journey, not a physical one, but a journey of the mind, a journey through time, mystery, and speculation. For the next 4 hours, we will walk together through the frozen corridors of Antarctica's secrets, peeling back the layers of ice, story by story, theory by theory, until the silence itself begins to speak. We will look at ancient maps that should not exist, maps that suggest someone long ago knew Antarctica before it was swallowed by ice. We will study strange anomalies, satellite images that reveal sharp pyramids and impossible structures buried deep below. We will confront theories of lost civilizations, of hidden bases, and of cataclysmic floods that reshaped the world. We will touch upon scientific riddles, magnetic pulses, rapid climate shifts, and data that does not fit the official narrative. And we will ask, again and again, a question that grows more urgent with every discovery. Why have these stories been hidden from us? Is Antarctica simply a frozen continent? Or is it the world's most carefully guarded secret? Let us first breathe into the silence. Imagine yourself standing at the edge of the continent. Before you, endless white stretches to the horizon, broken only by jagged mountains of ice. The wind howls, sharp and unforgiving, but beneath that howl is another sound, subtle, low, like a whisper beneath the storm. It is the whisper of history, a history buried under miles of ice, a history suppressed, perhaps deliberately, from human memory. Antarctica is the coldest, driest, and windiest place on Earth. And yet, despite its hostility, it calls to us. Scientists estimate that beneath its ice lie mountain ranges, river systems, and even vast subglacial lakes. Some of these lakes have been sealed away from the atmosphere for millions of years, untouched by time, isolated in darkness. What could they hold? Strange life forms? Traces of something ancient? Or perhaps something not entirely human? Already the mystery grows. But there is something else. Unlike any other continent on Earth, Antarctica is protected, locked down, guarded not by a single nation, but by a treaty of nations. The Antarctic Treaty System forbids military activity. It forbids resource exploitation. It forbids independent exploration. Only select scientists under controlled programs may enter its frozen heart. Why? Why is this land so inhospitable, so barren, treated with such extraordinary caution? If it is nothing but ice, why such secrecy? Why such careful protection? This is where speculation begins to take root. For whenever access is denied, questions bloom. What is hidden? What is suppressed? Gentle repetition for a meditative tone. Tonight we will ask. Tonight we will imagine. Tonight we will listen to the silence and let it speak. Let us go back in time, long before satellites, before airplanes, before even the great age of exploration. Antarctica was unknown. On the maps of the ancients, the bottom of the world was blank or filled with wild guesses, sea monsters, endless oceans, or a great southern continent. Terra Australis Incognita, the unknown land of the South. And yet, some maps suggest more than guesses. Some maps suggest knowledge, and knowledge that should not have been possible. This is where our story truly begins, with the whisper of a map, with ink on parchment that defies history itself. Chapter 1. Unearthing Ancient Maps and Anomalies. To begin unraveling the secrets of Antarctica, we must return not to the ice itself, but to the maps of those who came before us. For while the land lies hidden, buried beneath its frozen shroud, ink and parchment may preserve truth that stone and snow conceal. The story of Antarctica's forbidden discoveries begins with one of the most controversial maps in human history. The year is 1513. The Ottoman Empire is at its height. An admiral named Piri Reis Navigator, cartographer, and scholar lays ink upon a gazelle skin parchment. He sketches the outlines of continents, the familiar coasts of Europe and Africa, and something else. At the bottom of the parchment, where history tells us no man had yet gone, Piri Reis draws a coastline. Smooth, distinct, detailed. To modern eyes it resembles Antarctica. And not just Antarctica, but Antarctica as it would appear without its ice. Pause. Let the weight of that linger. How could this be? Antarctica was not discovered until 1820, more than 300 years after, and even then its shape remained shrouded in ice, hidden from view. Only with the technology of the 20th century seismic surveys, satellite imaging, did we uncover the true contours of its coasts beneath the glaciers. And yet in 1513 there it was, ink on parchment, a memory of a land no one should have seen. Skeptics argue it is coincidence, a distorted view of South America. But is coincidence enough to explain the accuracy of certain features? The placement of rivers, the curve of the shoreline? Or is this map the echo of a knowledge older than history itself? Perhaps Piri Reis did not create the knowledge. Perhaps he inherited it. He himself wrote that his maps were compiled from 20 older charts and 8 Mappae Mundi, drawn from earlier times, some, he claimed, reaching back to the age of Alexander the Great. What if those older maps preserved the memory of a time when Antarctica was ice-free? What if the map is not just an error of ink, but a window into a forgotten epoch? And the Piri Reis map is not alone. 18 years later, in 1531, another cartographer, Orontius Funnius, created a map that once again seems to show Antarctica beneath the ice. His map depicts the continent's shape, its rivers, even its mountain ranges. And while his lines are imperfect, the resemblance is uncanny. How could 2 separate maps in 2 separate hands echo a truth invisible to their own age? Is it possible these cartographers preserved a memory handed down through ancient sources now lost to us? Sources that may have originated from a time when the world was different, when Antarctica was not a frozen desert, but something else entirely? Now imagine this. Tens of thousands of years ago, Antarctica lay not beneath ice, but beneath sun. Its valleys green, its rivers flowing, its shores teeming with life. Ancient peoples may have walked there, their settlements thriving in a climate we can scarcely imagine today. If such civilizations existed, their traces are now buried under miles of ice, sealed away like insects in amber. And perhaps, just perhaps, fragments of their knowledge survive the cataclysm passed down through generations, finding their way into the hands of cartographers in the Middle Ages who copied them without ever knowing the full truth of what they carried. But maps are not the only anomalies. In the modern age, satellites have become our eyes in the sky. They peer through clouds, through storms, through darkness. And in Antarctica they have revealed shapes that stir both wonder and suspicion. Consider the so-called Antarctica Pyramid. From above it appears unmistakable, a sharp, triangular formation rising from the snow, its sides eerily symmetrical. Some insist it is merely a mountain, weathered into shape by wind and ice. Others see in it something deliberate, something designed, a pyramid beneath the ice. If true, it would not stand alone. Across the world, pyramids appear: Egypt, Mesoamerica, China, Bosnia. Always ancient, always enigmatic. Could Antarctica's pyramid be part of this mysterious network built by civilization we do not remember? Or is it simply a trick of perception, our minds imposing order upon nature's chaos? And then there is Lake Vostok. Hidden beneath 2 miles of ice, this subglacial lake is larger than Lake Ontario, sealed from the surface for millions of years. In its dark waters, isolated from the world, strange microbial life has been discovered, life unlike anything else on Earth. What else might dwell in those depths? What might still stir, cut off from the sun, preserved in the cold silence of eternity? Some speculate that entire ecosystems may exist there, alien in form though born of Earth. Others whisper of structures detected near its shores, anomalies too geometric to dismiss as natural. Could Lake Vostok conceal ruins? Could it be the resting place of something ancient, something humanity is not meant to see? Piece by piece, the anomalies mount. Maps that should not exist. Formations that defy explanation. Lakes that hide their secrets in darkness. Each fragment on its own could be dismissed, but together they form a pattern that suggests Antarctica is not just a barren sheet of ice, but a palimpsestic canvas written over layer by layer, concealing older stories beneath. Now, let us linger in imagination. Close your eyes and picture it. An Antarctica without ice. Vast green valleys stretching across the horizon. Rivers winding like silver veins through the land. Birds filling the skies. Forests swaying in the wind. Perhaps even cities, stone, rising against a backdrop of mountains. Temples aligned to the stars. Pyramids gleaming beneath the sun. And then, catastrophe. A sudden shift of the Earth's axis. A flood. A storm. A winter that never ended. The land freezes, the rivers halt, the cities vanish beneath ice. And with them an entire history erased from sight, yet not entirely from memory. For in fragments of maps and whispers of legend and anomalies glimpsed by modern eyes, that memory stirs. It stirs like an ember beneath the snow, waiting to be uncovered. unearthing ancient maps and anomalies. The story of mysterious maps does not end with Piri Reis or Orontius Phineas. Other cartographers, too, seem to have glimpsed what they should never have known. In 1737, a French geographer named Philippe Bauchy published a map unlike any other. His chart depicted a southern landmass, divided not into a single frozen sheet, but into multiple islands separated by waterways. At the time, this depiction seemed strange, even absurd. But centuries later, when modern scientists scanned Antarctica with radar, they discovered something astonishing. Beneath the ice, Antarctica is indeed divided by deep valleys and mountain ranges, its bedrock fractured into smaller landmasses. How could Bauchy have known? He lived long before airplanes, long before satellites, long before any ship ever braved the southernmost seas. Yet his map aligned with truths uncovered only in the 20th century. Coincidence? Or was Bauchy, like Piri Reis, drawing from ancient sources? Sources older than memory, older than history, perhaps even older than civilization itself? Maps are not simply tools. They are windows into the worldview of their creators. To draw a map is to declare, this is what we know. This is where we have been. This is how the world appears to us. So when we see maps that should not exist, that depict lands no one should have seen, we must ask, who first looked upon these shores? Who first charted them, before the ice came, before the world forgot? Perhaps it was sailors of a forgotten age, their ships lost to time, their stories unrecorded. Perhaps it was a civilization advanced beyond what we now imagine, their knowledge scattered like fragments of glass across history. Or perhaps more unsettling still, it was not human hands at all. As we drift further into these mysteries, let us linger on another anomaly, one not drawn in ink, but carved in ice. The Antarctica pyramids. Satellite images have revealed several sharp, triangular peaks, their sides sloping with uncanny symmetry. They rise from the snow like ancient sentinels, their angles too clean, their shapes too deliberate to be dismissed at a glance. Geologists argue they are simply Nunatax mountains protruding through the ice, shaped by erosion, and perhaps they are right. But symmetry has always stirred suspicion. For when the natural world arranges itself into perfect triangles, we cannot help but wonder, is this chance or intention? Across the world, pyramids have appeared, time and again, in cultures separated by oceans and centuries. Egypt, Mesoamerica, China, even the ruins of forgotten kingdoms, deep in the jungles, reveal the same shape, the same design. Why? Why does humanity return again and again to the pyramid? Was it simple efficiency, a universal solution to building large monuments? Or was it memory and echo, something older, something learned long ago, perhaps in a place we no longer remember? If Antarctica, too, holds pyramids, then the pattern grows deeper still. It suggests a network, a connection, a thread weaving through history's hidden fabric. Let us imagine, long before ice, a civilization flourished at the bottom of the world. They built in stone, as others built in Egypt, in Peru, and Mesopotamia. Their pyramids rose beneath the southern sun, aligned to constellations now forgotten. They mapped the skies, they charted the seas, they recorded knowledge in forms we no longer understand. Then catastrophe struck, a sudden change in climate, a shift of the poles, a deluge of water, followed by a prison of ice. Their cities were buried, their temples sealed, their pyramids entombed beneath glaciers that would not melt for tens of thousands of years. And now, only the tips remain, breaking through the snow like fingers reaching from the grave. Is this fantasy? Perhaps. But as long as the ice conceals its truths, imagination is all we have. And yet, the anomalies continue. Consider Lake Vostok. We spoke of it earlier, but let us sink deeper into its mystery. This lake, vast and ancient, lies entombed beneath more than 2 miles of ice. For millions of years it has been cut off from the surface world, sealed in darkness, untouched by wind or sunlight. When scientists drilled into its waters, they found microbial life unlike anything else on Earth. Life that had adapted to survive in isolation, in crushing pressure, and eternal night. But what else could be hidden there? Some whispers speak of strange magnetic anomalies near the lake disturbances in the Earth's field, readings that defy explanation. Others claim geometric structures have been detected by radar near its shores. And then there are the rumors, the stories, dismissed as fantasy, that entire expeditions were sent to Lake Vostok, only for reports to vanish, findings classified, voices silenced. Why such secrecy? Why such caution? If there is nothing beneath the ice but water and microbes, why must so much remain hidden? Now let us broaden our gaze. Across Antarctica, satellite imagery has revealed countless formations lines too straight, angles too sharp, patterns too deliberate. Some resemble runways, others vast walls. Still others dark circles as if tunnels open into the ice. Are these illusions the tricks of shadow and snow? Or are they the faint fingerprints of something greater? Here lies the difficulty. Antarctica resists our gaze. Its storms hide its surface. Its ice buries its secrets. Its treaties forbid our exploration. We see only glimpses, hints, fragments, and it is upon these fragments that the imagination builds its castles. And so the continent remains, half science, half myth, a place where anomalies accumulate like snowflakes, drifting into a blizzard of mystery. Let us pause here and breathe. Imagine the weight of the ice, miles thick, thousands of years deep, crushing down upon whatever lies below. Beneath that weight, civilizations could sleep, their stones intact, their relics preserved, waiting for the thaw. Beneath that weight, mountains rise unseen, rivers flow unfelt, lakes dream in silence. Beneath that weight, truths slumber, truths we are not yet permitted to know. And still the maps whisper. Each line of ink, each curve of coastline, each detail drawn centuries before it should have been known. They are fragments of memory. Memory of a world before the ice. Memory of sailors who sailed too far. Memory of a civilization that charted the globe long before our own. The Piri race map. The Orontius Phineas map. The Boischet map. Together they speak, softly but insistently. Antarctica was known. Not as a wasteland, not as a desert of snow, but as a land of rivers and coasts, fertile and alive. And if it was known, then by whom? Who walked those shores? Who charted those rivers? Who first laid eyes upon the land that we now see only as white? The questions multiply, and the answers dissolve like snowflakes in the wind. But this is the way of mystery. The more we uncover, the more we are reminded of what we do not know. And Antarctica remains the greatest reminder of all. Unearthing ancient maps and anomalies, we have followed the maps. We have lingered with pyramids. We have descended into the hidden waters of Lake Vostok. But our journey does not end here. To stretch further into the unknown, we must allow ourselves to wander not only through science, but through myth, through memory, through the stories humanity has always told about lands at the edges of the world. The ancient Greeks spoke of Hyperborea. It was said to lie far to the north, a land beyond the winds, where the sun shone without setting, and where the people lived in harmony, untouched by war or disease. But perhaps Hyperborea was not north at all. Perhaps it was a memory blurred, distorted of a southern paradise that existed before the ice came. A land where rivers flowed freely, where green valleys stretched beneath skies now frozen. The name may have shifted, the direction may have been confused, but the memory lingered. Myths, after all, are not maps of geography. They are maps of memory. They preserve whispers long after details are forgotten. Could Antarctica have been the original Hyperborea? Could the myths of a golden land beyond reach be fragments of what once was, a paradise buried beneath the ice? And then there is Atlantis. Plato described it as a mighty civilization, proud and advanced, which fell in a single night and day of catastrophe. Some say it lies in the Atlantic Ocean. Some place it in the Mediterranean. Some argue it was never real at all, but only an allegory. Yet others wonder, could Atlantis have been Antarctica? The descriptions of Atlantis, an island of vast size, beyond the known world, possessing knowledge and power fit the southern land as well as any. If Antarctica was once temperate, once alive, once home to a civilization we can scarcely imagine, then its sudden freezing, its burial beneath the ice, would be the perfect echo of Atlantis' fall. A catastrophe not of fire but of frost. A city not drowned in waves, but in glaciers. A civilization not forgotten by accident, but entombed by design. And what of the seafarers? Legends speak of sailors who ventured too far, who saw lands they were not meant to see. Polynesians, perhaps, with their incredible mastery of ocean navigation. Phoenicians, perhaps, with their daring voyages beyond the Pillars of Hercules. Or others, older still sailors from civilizations erased from history, leaving only faint imprints in maps no one can fully explain. Imagine them, small ships upon vast seas, stars as their only compass, wings as their only guide. And then, one night, as the mist clears, a new coast appears on the horizon. Mountains rising white against the sky, rivers flowing to the sea, strange birds circling overhead. They land, they walk upon the soil, they make their notes, they perhaps build fires that smoke against the unfamiliar air. And then they depart. Their knowledge drifts outward, scattered into other maps, other hands, copied and recopied, distorted and forgotten, until only fragments remain, embedded in charts drawn centuries later by men who never knew the truth of what they held. And still, anomalies tug at our attention. The pyramids, sharp against the snow. The radar scans hinting at buried structures. The magnetic oddities near Lake Vostok. The tunnels whispered of in shadows, dark circles in the ice as if entryways lead downward into something vaster. Each one, perhaps explainable. Each one, perhaps illusion. but together they form a chorus. And in that chorus, something larger is suggested. Let us pause and breathe again. The ice is thick. The silence is deep. Imagine drifting through it like a dream. Above, the winds howl endlessly. Below, mountains sleep unseen. The continent is like a book sealed shut, its pages frozen together, its words unreadable. Yet we feel the weight of its story. We sense that it is not blank. Every map, every myth, every anomaly is like a small tear in that frozen book. Just enough to let us glimpse the ink inside. Just enough to remind us that something was written there long before we arrived. Perhaps in the future, when the ice melts, more will be revealed. Perhaps one day rivers will flow again where now only glaciers stretch. Perhaps valleys will open, cities will emerge, and forgotten truths will rise into daylight. But until then, Antarctica remains a dream half-seen, a land of maps that should not exist, a land of pyramids half-buried, a land of lakes sealed from the world for millions of years. It is both real and unreal, both known and unknown, both present and ancient. And as this chapter draws to its close, remember this: Antarctica is not empty. It is full of secrets, full of silence, full of questions that stretch beyond the reach of any answer. It calls to us not with words, but with whispers of ice. It reminds us that the world is wider than we know, older than we imagine, deeper than we dare to dream. And in the stillness of its frozen expanse, it invites us to listen, to slow down, to let our minds drift as if on a current of snow. For mysteries are not only to be solved, sometimes they are to be lived in. Sometimes they are to be slept with, like a lullaby from the past. Chapter 2: Theories of Buried History. We have wandered among maps and anomalies. We have traced the strange outlines of pyramids, and we have listened to whispers sealed in ice. Now let us step deeper, beyond the charts, beyond the satellite images, beyond speculation about what might be drawn or buried, into the theories of buried history itself. For if Antarctica is not what we are told, if it hides a truth deeper than geology, then what kind of story does that truth tell? One of the most enduring theories is that Antarctica is none other than Atlantis. The idea is both audacious and strangely compelling. Plato described Atlantis as a great island, larger than Libya and Asia combined, lying beyond the Pillars of Hercules. He spoke of concentric rings of water and land, of an advanced society, of a sudden cataclysm that brought it all down in a single night. For centuries, people searched the oceans for Atlantis. Some said it lay beneath the waves of the Atlantic. Others placed it in the Mediterranean. Still others suggested the Caribbean. But then came a new suggestion. What if Atlantis had not sunk at all? What if it had frozen? Antarctica, when stripped of ice and modern topographic reconstructions, reveals a land of valleys, plains, and mountains. Not a barren rock, but a place where civilizations could have flourished. And if once it lay farther north in a temperate climate, its sudden shift to the pole and its covering in ice could mirror perfectly Plato's tale of sudden destruction. Atlantis drowned. Antarctica froze. But the result is the same: an advanced world lost to memory, sealed away, waiting. There are whispers of another explanation. A great flood. Across cultures, from Mesopotamia to the Andes, from the Hebrew scriptures to Sumerian tablets, flood myths resound. Stories of water rising suddenly, swallowing lands, driving survivors to high mountains. What if Antarctica was part of that story? Some researchers propose that a cataclysm, perhaps a shift in the Earth's crust, perhaps an axis tilt, perhaps a comet impact, transformed the world in an instant. Warm regions froze. Ocean levels rose. Entire landscapes shifted overnight. Antarctica, once green, was locked beneath ice. Its rivers froze, its cities buried, its history erased, and humanity remembered only fragments of the chaos, telling them again and again as myths of a flood. In this view, Antarctica is not merely Atlantis, but the silent witness to a catastrophe that reshaped the entire planet. And then there are the theories of hidden bases. This is where history blurs into conspiracy, where whispers of the past merge with the shadow of modern wars. After World War II, expeditions to Antarctica became sudden and intense. The most famous was Operation High Jump, led by Admiral Richard Byrd in 1946. Officially, it was a research mission. Unofficially, it sparked countless rumors. Byrd himself gave interviews hinting at a new enemy that could move from pole to pole with unimaginable speed. His words, vague and unsettling, fueled the idea that something extraordinary had been found in Antarctica. Some claim it was the discovery of remnants, ruins of an ancient, advanced civilization, technology beyond our understanding. Others whisper of hidden military installations, secret research, perhaps even encounters with forces not entirely human. Whatever the truth, Operation High Jump ended abruptly, far earlier than scheduled. Ships returned damaged. Reports were hushed. The silence deepened. And in that silence, the theory grew. Antarctica is not only a graveyard of ancient history, but also a stage where modern powers hide their most guarded secrets. Consider this for a moment. Antarctica is the only continent on Earth where independent exploration is forbidden. To visit, one must pass through layers of treaties, permissions, and restrictions. Satellite imagery is sometimes blurred or incomplete. Flights are heavily regulated. Why? If it is only ice, why the restrictions? If it is only wilderness, why the secrecy? It is here, in this vacuum of access, that imagination expands. Theories bloom. Atlantis. Floods. Bases. Civilizations advanced beyond belief. Perhaps one is true. Perhaps none are true. Perhaps all hold a fragment of truth. Let us slow down here. Breathe into the stillness of the frozen south. Feel the weight of the theories pressing against the ice. Atlantis, buried beneath glaciers. A great flood preserved in ice cores. Secret bases hidden beneath the snowfields. Each one a story. Each one a mirror. And together they form a picture of Antarctica not as a barren wasteland, but as a theater of forgotten history. Imagine for a moment that the ice parted. A warm wind blows, the glaciers retreat. Beneath them a city emerges, tall structures of stone, perfectly aligned with stars, carvings in languages unknown, machines that hum faintly with energy not yet rediscovered. Or imagine the ocean rising into the sky of the past, swallowing whole valleys, and when it recedes, only ice remains where once there was green. Or imagine the hum of engines, secret tunnels cut by hands unknown, hidden from satellites, guarded by treaties, shielded from eyes. 3 visions, 3 possibilities. Atlantis, the flood, the base, all waiting beneath the same veil of ice. And so, Chapter 2 draws to its close. We do not claim certainty here. We do not seek answers carved in stone. We seek only to wander through the theories, to let them settle like snowflakes upon the imagination. Antarctica is both a grave and a seed. A grave of what was, a seed of what might be discovered. It holds its silence tightly, but that silence is not empty. It is heavy with the weight of stories' buried history, waiting for the right moment, the right hand, the right question to unlock it. Chapter 3, Scientific Riddles and Suppressed Data. The ice speaks, not in words we recognize, not in sentences or sounds, but in layers, thin, delicate layers like the pages of a book written in silence, stretching back through time. Each snowfall that settles on Antarctica does not vanish. It presses downward. It compresses. Year upon year, century upon century, millennium upon millennium, until snow becomes ice. Ice becomes history, and within that history, secrets are kept. Scientists drill into the ice, lowering their instruments carefully, drawing out cylinders of frozen time. These are the ice core's columns of clarity, each layer capturing the air of the past. Tiny bubbles sealed in ice 1,000 years ago, 10,000 years ago, hundreds of thousands of years ago. To look into them is to breathe the atmosphere of another age. To measure them is to glimpse the climate of a forgotten world. To listen to them is to hear Earth's story whispered through crystal. And what those cores reveal is unsettling. The timeline we are given is one of slow change. We are told that ice comes gradually, that climates shift gently, that the Earth drifts between warmth and cold over long, patient cycles. But the cores suggest otherwise. Again and again, evidence appears of sudden shifts, rapid freezes, rapid thaws. Temperature swings not over millennia, but over decades, sometimes even less. Imagine it. A world warm and fertile one generation, locked in ice the next. A forest blooming one year, buried the next. A civilization rising, unaware of the catastrophe approaching, gone before it can even leave its mark. The ice remembers. The ice does not forget. This is a riddle, one that challenges not only history but memory itself. If Earth can change so quickly, if climates can swing so violently, what else might have been lost? What else might be buried, waiting, sealed beneath those frozen pages? And the riddles do not end there. Antarctica is restless. Beneath its ice lies not only land, but heat. Vast networks of geothermal vents, rivers flowing in darkness, entire lakes sealed away for millions of years, untouched by light. Lake Vostok is one such mystery. Hidden beneath more than 2 miles of ice, its waters have been isolated for perhaps 15 million years. In that silence, life may have adapted, evolved, or survived in ways unknown. Scientists drilled carefully, cautiously, fearful of contamination. When they reached the waters, they found strange signatures, fragments of DNA that did not match the surface world. Microbes unknown, perhaps unique, perhaps ancient. And yet, much of the data remains unpublished. Much remains uncertain. Much remains quiet, as if what was found is too extraordinary, too disruptive, to be spoken of fully. And then there are the magnetic anomalies. Beneath the ice, instruments detect strange pulses, shifts in the magnetic field, unexplained readings concentrated in certain regions. Some suggest these are natural iron deposits, unusual geology, quirks of the Earth's magnetism. Others suggest otherwise. Others whisper of structures vast, metallic, hidden far below, too large, too precise to be chance. One such anomaly lies near Lake Vostok itself. Another is reported near the supposed pyramids, each one a ripple in the field, as if something unnatural stirs beneath the frozen crust. The riddle deepens. And over it all looms the greatest silence of all, the Antarctic Treaty. Signed in 1959, it forbids military activity. It forbids mining. It forbids permanent settlement. Only peaceful scientific research is allowed. And even that is tightly controlled. Think of it, the one continent on Earth where no nation may stake a claim, where no resource may be exploited, where no outsider may freely roam. It is described as a triumph of cooperation, but it also feels like a lock on the world's most mysterious land. Why? What truth lies beneath that requires such absolute control? Let us pause here. Close your eyes. Imagine yourself drifting downward, through the white snow, through the blue ice, through the bubbles of ancient air, deeper and deeper until you reach the hidden rivers, the buried lakes, the faint hum of magnetic anomalies. All around you silence, but within the silence vibration, within the vibration possibility. It is as though the ice is humming, as though something waits, sealed, patient, knowing the day of discovery will come. And yet, data is suppressed. Satellite images are blurred. Certain coordinates yield blacked-out squares. Expeditions report findings, but the reports vanish into classified archives. A scientist whispers of anomalies in ice cores. Another mentions DNA and like anything known. A third measures strange energy signatures. And then silence. Always silence. The riddles remain unanswered. Perhaps it is nothing. Perhaps it is everything. Perhaps the anomalies are geology. Perhaps they are history. Perhaps they are technology, long buried, long forgotten. The ice knows. The ice holds the truth. And for now it does not share. So we drift as listeners, as dreamers, as wanderers of the mind. We drift through cores of ancient air. We drift through lakes sealed in darkness. We drift through pulses of magnetism. We drift through treaties and silences, each one a puzzle piece, each one a riddle without answer. And as we drift, the mystery does not grow smaller. It grows vaster. It grows deeper. It grows quieter. And so, Chapter 3 draws to its close. Antarctica is not only a land of myth and map. It is a land of science that unsettles, data that disrupts, knowledge that whispers rather than shouts. It is a land where every discovery raises more questions, where every answer is followed by silence, where every instrument points not to certainty, but to enigma. The ice is a library. Its shelves are full, but the books remain sealed, waiting. And as we wait, we dream. We dream of what will be revealed one day when the ice finally yields its truths. Chapter 4. The Future of Antarctic Exploration and Unveiling Truths. Opening Meditation. The Inevitable Unveiling. The ice has always been thought of as eternal, a frozen shield that guards what lies beneath. But ice is never truly still. It shifts, it melts, it breaks, it reforms. And in its movement, secrets are revealed. The future of Antarctica is not one of endless silence. It is one of unveiling. This chapter takes us forward in time, into what awaits, into the possibilities of discovery, into the moment when the forbidden is no longer hidden. The march of technology. Year after year, our instruments sharpen. Satellites peer deeper with infrared vision. Drones sweep across landscapes no human has touched. Ground-penetrating radar sends signals into the ice, and echoes return. Echoes of shapes, echoes of voids, echoes of structures. Already, anomalies have been seen, grids, geometric lines, strange shadows that no natural process seems to explain. And this is only the beginning. What will happen when technology doubles again in power? When satellites can see as clearly as if standing on the ground? When artificial intelligence pieces together fragments of evidence into undeniable patterns? In the future, Antarctica will not be a blank canvas. It will be a map filled with revelations. Subglacial lakes and the promise of discovery. Beneath Antarctica lie more than 400 lakes, sealed away under ice for millions of years. Lakes where sunlight has never reached. Lakes where life, if it exists, has evolved in total isolation. Imagine the day when autonomous submarines slip into Lake Vostok, their lights sweeping across alien waters, their sensors recording creatures adapted to a realm of darkness. Some will be simple microbes, but what if others are more complex? What if they reveal entirely new branches of life, rewriting biology itself? And what if on the rocky bed of such a lake structures are found? Columns, paved surfaces, ruins not made by nature. The promise of discovery lies in these hidden waters, and the future is drawing nearer to them. Breaking the treaty. For decades, Antarctica has been locked by the Antarctic Treaty, a pact of nations promising to keep the land for peace and science. But treaties are fragile. They bend under pressure. And as resources grow scarce, as technology advances, as curiosity intensifies, the question arises: how long will the silence hold? One day, perhaps soon, governments may begin to argue that the secrets of Antarctica belong to humanity, not bureaucracy. Pressure from corporations, explorers, and the public may demand transparency. The moment the treaty breaks or bends, the floodgates of exploration will open, and with them, the secrets will rise. Speculations of what awaits, what might be revealed. Vast caverns warmed by geothermal heat, where ecosystems thrive. Geological anomalies that defy the known history of the Earth. Lost civilizations preserved beneath ice like insects in amber. Ancient technologies waiting in frozen vaults. Or perhaps something not of Earth at all. Each possibility stretches imagination. Each possibility is whispered about in the present. In the future, one or more of them may become undeniable. Humanity's readiness. Yet the question lingers, will we be ready for what we find? History shows us that truth is not always welcomed. Paradigms resist change. Theories collapse reluctantly. And when secrets challenge power, they are often hidden again. So when the ice finally gives up its answers, will humanity embrace them? Or will the truth be covered, suppressed, denied? The future is not only about discovery, it is about acceptance. Vision of the unveiling. Close your eyes and drift forward in time. The ice is thinner now. Expeditions penetrate deeper. The world holds its breath. And then discovery. A chamber carved in stone. Hieroglyphs not of Egypt, but of an unknown culture. Columns rising in the silence of a cavern. The fossil of a creature that should not exist. Or perhaps lights, signals, energies that prove something is still alive. The unveiling will not be gentle. It will shake history. It will shake science. It will shake us. But it is coming. Antarctica is a mirror. Antarctica is not only a land, it is a mirror. When we look into its silence, we see our deepest questions reflected back. Where do we come from? What lies beyond the limits of knowledge? Are we alone? What truths has the past buried in ice? The continent does not answer. It only waits. It only reflects. It only reminds us that the greatest mysteries are often closest to us, yet farthest from reach. The endless mystery. So we end where we began, at the edge of the world. Antarctica, vast, silent forbiddens. Antarctica, where every answer leads to new riddles. Antarctica, whose secrets are both suppressed and inevitable. The future will bring unveiling. The ice will yield. The silence will break. And when it does, the world will change. But even then, Antarctica will remain what it has always been. A dream, a meditation, a place where wonder never ends. So let the whispers of this frozen continent carry you into rest. Let the possibilities cradle you like the snow. Let the forbidden secrets of Antarctica echo softly in your dreams. For the journey continues. For the unveiling is only beginning.